The final non-contradiction within America and China is in the area of civilizations and values. This could come as a shock to many American thought leaders who see a fundamental incompatibility, especially between the values of American and Chinese societies. To explain this non-contradiction, it may be useful to understand how values emerge. In theory, they emerge as mental ideas that pop out of our heads. In practice, the values we believe in also emerge as a result of our historical and geographical circumstances. Indeed, both history and geography explain well the different value systems of America and China. American history began with a revolt against the tyrannical monarchical regime of King George III. Hence, the new settlers from Europe emphasized the importance of individual freedoms. Individual freedoms were also given a boost by the lucky geography of America. The wide open spaces of the North American continent allowed individuals to grow and thrive without social constraints. Hence, freedom became a cherished ideal. However, it must also be emphasized that the white founding fathers of America didn't extend freedom to the black slave community, nor did it hinder the effective genocide of the American Indian population. This is not surprising. All societies respect their values imperfectly. Chinese values are also influenced by their history and geography. China is the world's oldest continuous civilization. Yet, in this long history of almost 5,000 years, 20 times as long as American history, the Chinese people have experienced disunity and division more often than order and stability. Order and stability have also been associated with strong central rule from the capital. As a result, in the cultural DNA of Chinese society, there's a strong preference for order and stability, especially of the kind that Chinese people have enjoyed over the past 40 years. Similarly, Chinese geography also favors greater emphasis on order and stability. The American ambassador Chas Freeman explains well this relevance of geography. This is what he says, quote, "China is slightly larger than the United States, but there are 1.4 billion Chinese with only 1/3 the arable land and 1/4 the water we Americans have. If we had the same ratio of population to agricultural resources that the Chinese do, there would be almost 4 billion Americans. I suspect that if there were that many people crammed into the United States, Americans would have a much lower tolerance for social disorder," unquote. Ambassador Freeman is right. The tight geographical confines that the Chinese people are caught in also leads to a greater desire for social order and stability. Many Americans are inherently skeptical of such claims. Indeed, many Americans, including well-informed and thoughtful Americans, believe that the Chinese people today are caught in a Soviet-style gulag, imprisoned in their societies. But as demonstrated in our earlier discussions, there's ample evidence that the Chinese people are not trapped in a Soviet-style gulag. Instead, as confirmed by a thorough and rigorous academic study done by the Ash Center of the Harvard Kennedy School, support for the Chinese Communist Party has increased in recent years from 86% in 2003 to 93% in 2016. All Americans who believe that the Chinese people are suffering from lack of freedom should ponder on one statistic. Each year, except in 2020, over 100 million Chinese leave China freely. Each year, they all return home freely. Why are they returning home freely? Still, there is no doubt that there is a fundamental incompatibility between American values that emphasize individual freedoms and Chinese values that emphasize social order and stability. How can there be a non-contradiction if the values are incompatible? The answer is simple. American values work well for American society. Chinese values work well for Chinese society. Hence, both sides would be better off if they respected the decisions of each society to choose their own values. Both societies will also have to live with the consequences of their choices. COVID-19 has shown the results of their choices. As the Chinese people were prepared to accept tighter restrictions and lockdowns, only 86,000 Chinese people got infected, with 4,634 Chinese people dying. Since the American people were reluctant to accept restrictions, with President Trump flagrantly violating common sense rules of social distancing, as of November 1st, 2020, over 9 million American people were infected, with over 200,000 dead Americans. One statistic is telling. If the American population suffered the same rate of fatalities as the Chinese population, Americans would have had just over 1,000 deaths instead of over 200,000 deaths. It's clear values have consequences. In short, the wisest course for both American and Chinese societies to follow is to understand that both history and geography have led to their different societies making different choices in their values. Even if one looks at the famous 4 freedoms of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, it is clear that for American people, freedom of speech and religion was more important, while for the Chinese people, freedom from want and fear were more important. Incidentally, when FDR referred to freedom from fear, he was referring to the fear of being killed in wars. Having experienced more foreign invasions than America has, the Chinese people value this freedom highly. Many Americans believe that their values are superior and the best in the world. They may well be right. However, only time will tell. The best way for America to sell its values is to demonstrate how it is creating the world's best society. In short, the shining city on the hill. Sadly, America is no longer a shining city on the hill. Hence, if both Americans and Chinese could become more modest about their values and respect each other's choices, America and China could live in peace with each other. There would be a non-contradiction in values too.